Hey, everybody. This is the Tealium take for data privacy, consent, regulation, compliance, that whole topic. One of the things that it's so easy to forget is it's not just about the CMP or consent collection, the accept all box that we all get. And it's not just about data deletion, the other part of consent that gets a lot of airtime. It's really about the whole cycle of consent, from collection to acting and honoring that consent signal, whether it's enforcement or orchestration, however we look at it, auditability, DSAR, which is not just deletion, but just show me what you know about me, and then all these other things that people want to do for reporting and governance. So what we want to talk about today is just how Tealium looks at consent, what we offer our customers, and for all of you watching this video, how you can think about it, how do we fit with our competitors, and just how you can use us in your deal for this topic, okay? So Caleb, what do you think is Tealium's role in consent, and how do you see it?
So I like to slice it instead of like, what features do we offer? Like, what do our customers need from us? And I think you can put customers in a couple of big groups. You can say some people really want to buy an all sort of encompassing CMP that helps them with every regulation at the push of a button. And they want us to help them enforce that signal. That's one kind of customer. There's also a kind of customer who wants to build their own thing, like full-on buyers or builders, and they want to build their thing from the top down, just the whole stack, because they have enough resources and they're picky about how things look and how they work. And in that case too, they need us to enforce the thing. And so for those cases, we're doing consent integrations. That's the feature that helps those groups. And then there are a couple other people who they want to build it, but they want to build it in the tag manager or something. They're kind of marketing hackers, and they're not necessarily going to build something and have it be a version CMP. And we support them as well, and we'll continue to support them. I think the solution that we offer that group is going to change in the next year for sure. But we'll continue to support that group, the group of people who come in, they're like, hey, I don't have a lot of resources. I just need consent enforcement, and I need a little cookie banner. Right. And then there's an even lighter touch version of that where they come in and they say, hey, I am really early in this journey. I have a CMS that gives me a pop-up, and I just want you to enforce that pop-up. You know what I mean? It's like a very simple little WordPress thing. It sets a cookie. I want to enforce that cookie. And so it's a big gamut. We have a lot of enterprise customers, but we also have a fair number of like smaller teams inside enterprise companies who need to make something work quickly. You know what I mean? They're on a deadline and they're like, I got to get something up this month and I can't go to OneTrust. We're not going to be able to do the thing. And so we need to just get something going. So that's how I think of it. And I think that we've been doing this for years, since GDPR hit in Europe, and I've been involved in that. And I think that really what customers need from us in the end is enforcement. They want us to be that centralized enforcement hub, and that's our natural position in the ecosystem. So you need capture, but that's not really what you need from us most of the time. Some people do, maybe as a stopgap, or they have simple needs, but mostly they really need this robust kind of thing through our entire platform. They need us to be that enforcement and activation engine. And that's where we land, we call that orchestration. It's just that combination of enforcement and activation. So that's really what it's about. It's about, for us, we are trying to working to build that hub, and be that enforcement hub for our customers and keep getting stronger in that sense. And that does mean that we're not going super far down a path of like, we're building a CMP, we want to compete, and we want to offer an IAB compatible CMP, like an IAB certified CMP or a Google certified CMP or any of that stuff, because we integrate with all the top CMPs and people don't need that from us. That would be a distraction from our main purpose. So yeah, so we don't need to do that, and people don't really ask us for that, to be honest. Sometimes they do, and the answer to that is just like, yeah, you've outgrown the tool now. You need to find a CMP that is investing in that and doing that certification stuff, if that's the path that your business needs right now. Started with the client side, and we're working our way through. So the next thing is consent orchestration on event level, in event stream, controlling those activations, and then we'll move on to the CDP side of the audience stream.
We have lots of ways for integrating with the consent collection tools that are out there, the CMPs, whether it's homegrown or whether it's publicly available. We have lots of ways of integrating with them. We are building a lot of functionality to help you combine that at the visitor level and do things with that consent on our side, but manually you can already configure that today. Then we have a way for you to audit and log all the consent, and we have a way to send it downstream, right? So we've very typical. That's how I've at least understood it. Is just like the Tealium supply chain. We have that for consent, and we've been doing that from the beginning. So, great for us to understand this more. Tim, I would love to help for you to help our salespeople understand the value across these different products and the messages and how you look at it.
Right, we offer something in all aspects of compliance regarding data privacy, right, for customer data, from collection, right, through deletion and reporting. I mean, these are the use cases, right? And we really take pride in our consent offering and the role we play in the compliance journey of companies using our platform and using our modules. So when we start with data collection, so first of all, yeah, we have our own consent management widget, right, which is seamlessly integrated with our tags. So the value is, it is very, very simple to apply, right? And it covers all requirements of regional data regulations. But we also provide out-of-the-box integration with any external CMP, yeah, and it's also very easy to apply, right? And it's our powerful consent integration and orchestration feature, as Caleb already mentioned. So in simple terms, right, the CMP is basically capturing the consent signals, right, handed over to us, and we are evaluating these signals based on this consent enforcement framework, right, that is sitting within our tag management system. And this enforcement framework is very easy to set up, right? And this is where the value comes from, right? As it just map tags in TAQ to required purpose groups, which are defined in the consent layer, right? And in other more simple words, right, with this framework, you're decoupling the decisioning logic, right? Is this tag allowed to be triggered, yes or no, right, from the load rules, which is super powerful, right, as this is saving a lot of configuration effort and gives you full governance, right, and transparency about data flows, right? And this is where the value comes from. And with this, we obviously don't get in the way of CMPs working based on other concepts, right? Caleb mentioned IAB, transparency and consent framework, right? But regardless, and with regards to data processing and storage, we also provide a lot of value to our customers, right? Because auditability is a very important requirement and a very common use case, obviously. So we're able to store consents, we can report on it with our data visualization features that can be sitting on top. And with our CDP audience stream, we're even able to persist and merge cookie consents with offline permissions against this central visitor profile, which is then the ideal foundation for any data subject use cases like subject access request, right to be forgotten, and of course others, right? And talking about value, we have APIs in place, right, to improve workflows and processes, so very, very easy to handle. And as an overarching theme, privacy by design is obviously and of course a core principle in our product development, as it really mitigates risks, right? It improves operational efficiency, and in the end builds trust.
Wow, that's so throughout the regulated industries and EDF and how that's playing out. Can you share a little bit about that?
So not only when you think about applying consent, well, usually when you consider consent, you think about the activation side. So that you're granting permission to use your data for analytics or advertising. And a lot of the times, one of the key aspects is that's left out by some of our competitors in the regulated industry spaces, especially healthcare, is the fact that you need to be able to obtain that consent prior to collection. So Tealium really is a leader in this space because while brands want to collect all the data and healthcare companies especially are left in a spot where they need more data on their patients because of all the regulations and HIPAA making you can't be able to collect PII and PHI to send to vendors without a BAA. But if you have a data collection platform that chooses and makes it known through the documentation that they're going to still collect that data and send it to your data warehouse, that's still in violation of a lot of the different local governance laws because they're still collecting that data prior to giving consent and ignoring the visitor's experience and their legal stated desires for consent.
I know in the HIPAA space, we have competitors like FreshPaint and Pivot Pro and everybody showing up. I think with the tension between Google free products and HIPAA, it unlocked a lot of opportunity for other tools to show up and fill the gap. And they're claiming a lot of this stuff. They might even do it well, but the reality is the amount of control we give you and how you set up your data collection and your consent collection, when the data gets shared, when it gets used, that level of control you don't get from these other tools. Now, to just complete this competitive topic, if we look at the CDP side, mParticle and Segment were very early in how visual their privacy dashboards were, and you could toggle all the settings on and off very nicely. Their Segment was early in having a really nice privacy report as well. But then Adobe showed up, and Adobe probably has the most flexible, most layered governance and policy rules that they've implemented. And the composable space really is falling behind because they leave all the consent to the warehouse. So I think that's how I would look at it from the CDP side. So to wrap up, I know, Tim, you really like this point about compliance is not just about trust, but about long-term value. Would you like to share what that is for the listeners?
I think it's really a good thing, right? There's so much attention on this topic, and consent collection processing has turned really into an important building block of companies' data strategies, right? So, and as we all know, right, if you do this well, right, it has a major impact on the acceptance of a brand, right? It's affecting the user experience, and teams are being built around that, right? So you have specialists now working in companies. And this is, from my perspective, an amazing development. And I think Tealium as such is supporting this very well.
The ratio of opt-ins is starting to go down across the world now because it's just people are getting more and more nervous when AI comes in. I think the number of unknown interactions is going up, and I think people are going to have to do more and more contextual. That's why we're doing so much stuff in the moment. But the fact is, there is no future without consent in the data space. You're going to have to always put that front and center. And I love that we've done that from the beginning. And thank you, everyone. And see you all later.